We come now to the part of the program where we offer our thanks to our outgoing board chairman and welcome in a new one for 2019. Don Oster and Troy Johnson, please come up. All yours, sir.
Thank you. How many of you were here about a year ago this time and heard the story about Lombardi and Coach Bingston? And my biggest fear is I was going to be known more as Phil Bingston than Coach Lombardi when I took over here. And I think we did pretty good because I single-handedly put the farm bill through, as you just heard from Darren, so we got a little bit of stuff done. This has been a whirlwind year, and it's been a lot of fun, and I've got to not only meet new people, but deepen and broaden some relationships with some dear friends in this business. And before I hand it off to Troy, there are a few people I just have to recognize. My company, Moral Companies in North Central Ohio, is now one of a long line of companies who allow one of their, I hope, key people, if you will, to disengage for a few years and really commit themselves to ARA. And I think it speaks to the broader commitment that we get from the members who allow their people to go onto the board, onto the executive committee, and get into the chair rotation and become part of the leadership of this fine organization. So a shout out to my own company, and when they get the expense report, I hope he gets a recording of this address because, and there's a lady sitting in the audience this morning that believed in me about 32 years ago. God knows what she saw in me. I don't know, but she stuck with me. She has been the absolute perfect fertilizer wife. You gals out there know exactly what I'm talking about. And I couldn't have done anything that I've done. If anything in my life has been a success, it's been largely because of this lady. And I want everybody in this room to meet my love of my life, Kay Oster. And, honey, and I want to give a shout out to Darren and his staff. I've come to know them much more now, and they're the best. I don't know what else to say, Darren. It's I could stand here for 10 minutes with accolades, but you guys are on fire. You're just the best there is. Thank you. And we have to give a shout out to, you saw John Demerly just now. He's one of our good board members. They're all good. We have about 47 of them. I think that's the right
44.
number. 44. And it's a lot of work, but if you pick the right people for the board, it's a labor of love because they are committed to this association and to the industry which we serve. So while it's a love-hate sort of thing, you know, and it gets a little busy, a little hectic once in a while, maybe even a little contentious, it is a trip to be a member of the board. If you are asked to join the board or get into a committee chairmanship or something like that, I would encourage you to do it. There's so much to learn, and if a guy my age can learn stuff, man, like you rising stars, you're a shoe-in. And on the subject of rising stars, young ladies, I'm going to say something because I'm old enough to get by with things that would sound sexist in some audiences, but I'm going to tell you, when I broke into this business, there wouldn't have been a female on this stage, okay? There was a glass ceiling in this industry, and we'd have you around keeping the books and answering the phones, but you could only go so far. And what the real reason was that we didn't want you guys showing us up. And so when I look up on this stage and I see a half a dozen beautiful, intelligent, vivacious, eager to learn young ladies, and a lot of us met the other night, I just want to give you a real shout out for being in this industry, and I guarantee you stay the course, and one of these days there's going to be one of you standing up here, and it won't be too long. So you stay in there, hang in there, be tough, and kick these guys in the seat of the pants whenever you have to, and you'll be a winner. So another hand for these folks, please. Now, there's a lot of you in the room that know me, and you know I can't leave without a story, so I'm going to tell you a story. couple years ago, how much time we got? A couple years ago, Kay and I went on an Alaskan cruise, and we left Seattle or Vancouver or wherever, and it was under fair skies. It was beautiful sailing, and I woke up in the middle of the night to a foghorn, and I thought, boy, this is going to be interesting. And it was the year of the eclipse. You remember where the eclipse went up over the Pacific Northwest? Well, woke up that morning, and you couldn't see the end of the boat. I mean, it was just almost pea soup, and so we walked up. We wanted to get a little exercise, and we walked up the top of the ship, and it was about 10 o'clock, about the time of the eclipse, and sitting out on top of this ship in rows and rows and rows of deck chairs were several hundred of our cruise mates sitting there with those god-awful 3D-looking glasses, sitting back, staring up into absolute fog, waiting for the eclipse to come over a sun that they couldn't see any more than anything. And I thought, okay, these people procreate. And they vote. And they have no idea any more than a man in the moon where their next meal is coming from. You remember that? So all during the day and into the night, the fog persisted. And in fact, about dark, we came back from dinner to our room, and it got even thicker. It was pea soup. And the old horn was going, and I'm sitting there thinking, dang, Edmund Fitzgerald, Costa Concordia, Titanic, They say these things aren't sinkable, but I'll tell you what, they thought those weren't either. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden we heard a motor, didn't we? Went out on the balcony, and we looked, and there was a little light coming up, and we'd been on cruises before, so we knew what was happening. We knew that the pilot ship was coming in because we were now in the inside passage. It's pretty tight, and we saw the pilot ship come alongside and let the pilot off, and then he went off into the fog. And a sense of peace kind of came over me because I realized that we had someone aboard the ship that knew the local conditions, knew where the channel was born and raised and lived there every day on that part of our journey, and was going to be able to help navigate our cruise ship through that tight channel and on into smoother waters and open seas. And I'll be darned if the next morning the fog hadn't lifted. We woke up to a beautiful morning. We saw the boat come and pick the fellow up. He went on his way, and we went on our way. And so I thought about that when I was getting ready to talk to you this morning. So that's the kind of thing you do as chairman of this association. You kind of come aboard the ship for a little while, and you help the skipper and all of his crew stay in the channel and follow the course that's set out for them. And then when your time is done, and you go away and you get someone else that's versed in the next part of the journey, and he comes aboard and does the same thing. So I thought about all that, and I thought that would be a kind of a nice story to share with you, my last day as your chairman. And one final thought, I want to thank the good Lord above for our industry, for the people we serve. I just want to share with you my joy and pride in being in an industry where we do something that makes a difference for the condition of the human on this earth. And we're going to be a bunch of us in quite a few years here, and we're going to have to feed them all. And by golly, we can do it if we stick together and we remain strong, not only in ARA, but as an industry. So with that, I bid you adieu, and I want to welcome Troy Johnson to the chairmanship. I've come to know Troy quite well over the last year and a half, and I'm telling you what, you're going to get a new pilot on the boat that really knows where the channel is. This guy has made a career in agriculture, specifically in retail, and he is a top-notch person. So I can't wait to see Troy in our chairmanship. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, John. On behalf of the members and the rest of the board of directors, I want to say a special thanks to John. In my years of involvement with ARA, I don't think there's a leader or a member that brought more energy and passion and poured as much of his personal life into this association than John Oster. And John, all of us owe you a great debt of gratitude for that. Thank you, John. I'm also a firm believer that we all drink from wells from which we did not dig. And John recognized Kay, and I want to say thank you, Kay, because you put a lot of time and energy this last year into the ARA as well. And John's a great example of someone who drinks from wells he did not dig, and you are a big contributor to that. But thank you, Kay. I'm going to ask everybody to just take one moment and look around you. Look at the people that are sitting around you and think about the companies that they represent. Many of us in this room compete at the turn row from Monday through Friday, and yet we come together to face the challenges that our industry faces. Now think for a minute about the American grower which we all serve. John referenced them. America is still one of the great breadbaskets of the world, and our mutual customers have what I believe is a noble cause, which is to help feed the world. And I think by extension, all of us in this room also have a noble cause because of the services, the technology, and the products that we provide those growers to enable them to feed the world. But a noble cause does not ensure profitability. And I don't have to tell anybody in this room that. Nor does a noble cause ensure freedom to operate. And that's why I'm a firm believer in the mission of the ARA. You can read the mission and vision, and for me it boils down to it helps protect our freedom to operate. From regulatory issues, political issues, trade issues, you name it, the ARA is on the front lines of helping us fight those battles to protect our freedom to operate. There's three things that I think is important for this association going into 2019, and I just want to touch on them briefly. Number one is we absolutely need to continue with the energy and passion that John brought this association in deepening and broadening our membership. That's the biggest challenge this organization has, is if we don't continue to deepen and broaden our membership, we cannot remain viable and able to face these challenges. Number two, we have to keep our mission front and center of everything we do as an association. The third thing I think is important for us going forward in 2019 is we have to make sure that we fairly and accurately represent every retailer in the U.S., large or small, regardless of ownership, regardless of geography they serve, or regardless of their market approach. Our role is to represent the ag retailers of the U.S., and I'm glad to help lead that effort. John mentioned the staff, and the board is certainly aware of this, but the staff truly does the heavy lifting of this association. And Darren, we're so fortunate to have your leadership, and I thank you, and I'm glad that that's going to continue. This association has a rich history, it has a noble cause, and an important mission. I thank you for the opportunity, and I thank everyone in this room for their support of the ARA.